Well, 2020, speaking of which, is really getting to people. Nearly 8 in 10 Americans say the pandemic is seriously stressing them out. Even more people say the future of the nation is a significant source of stress. So case in point, we see so many videos of people totally freaking out over the simplest of things. Maybe you've even seen things like this happen in your own life. So this was the scene in Texas where a woman was allegedly yelling at a homeowner, wow, after she drove by and noticed his Black Lives Matter sign. So they ended up in an epic sprinkler fight that didn't go so well for the woman. I mean, look at, she's on the ground. And
well, if it's hot, it went well for her.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think my daughter Sophie would appreciate that. Well, next, check out what happened at a Southern California Starbucks when a young woman refused to pull her face mask up.
You're discriminating against me because I'm a Trump supporter. Sure. Black Lives Matter. You know, like, it's not a law. It's not a law. And I can show you the penal code and everything. It's a hoax. I don't have to wear a mask. I'm not going to wear a mask. This is America, and I don't have to do what you say.
Excuse me, you're
Trump 2020.
You need to leave. Thank you.
No.
Thank you.
Black Lives Matter.
People freaking out over masks is so common that scenes like this next one on a Delta flight, well, they go viral nearly every day.
You shouldn't have touched me.
Wow. Erica, this makes me sad because I'm looking at our nation and we all feel it to some degree, right? Some people are going to feel it more than others. Some people are going to handle it differently. But we can all agree that there is a heightened sense of disconnect, of vitriol. Why do you think people are freaking out like this? And how do you deal with stress?
Well, there's just so much uncertainty, and when there's a lot of uncertainty in the world, then people start to freak out, and it's understandable. I remember at the beginning of the pandemic when we all went into quarantine, a study came out that showed that people who deal with anxiety on a regular basis, myself included, actually were reporting that they had less anxiety because so much of what was happening happens internally, and the idea that there was so much chaos and uncertainty happening, there was almost a justification for the anxiety. So I know that it was a little bit easier for me to deal with because I would just tell myself, you know, we are in quarantine, we are in the middle of a pandemic, it's okay to not be okay. Whereas before I would say, I don't know why I'm not okay. So I think for each person, it's just a little different. But for a lot of people, they just really want to feel oppressed. And I just don't know what that's about. So I'm not even going to comment on it.
See, but Erica, you said it right there. You don't know, but you're going to move forward. And the reason is that you have the tools because you've dealt with your anxiety before this happened. This is why you and Sam Shocker have always said, take care of yourself from the neck up. Your mental health is so important because of situations like this. I think, fortunately or unfortunately, however you want to look at it, a lot of people in this country have just been kind of cruising along, and that sounds like a good idea, a good thing, but it doesn't prepare you for the bumps in the road. And this is a major bump, but if you're used to dealing with adversity, you probably have some tools in your toolkit to deal with this. What do you do when you feel stressed? I do yoga. What do you do when you're feeling nervous? I do this. And if you don't have those tools, Sam.
But this is so much different than that, in my opinion. This is the vitriol, in my opinion, is we're seeing two sides constantly butt heads. And it's become so extreme. It's become so black and white, no pun intended. Please do not misconstrue that. It literally is liberals versus conservatives, masks, non-masks, Black Lives Matter versus all lives matter. And I definitely blame a lot on social media, but it's gotten to the point where people don't see one another as Americans anymore. It's gotten to the point where people are boiling down to, are you voting for Trump or are you not voting for Trump? And I'm sick and tired of it. I want people to somehow find a way to have conversations again and find a middle of the road.
Sam, there's no financial incentive for what you're talking about. There's financial incentive for politicizing things. And unfortunately, this is a capitalistic system. And if you're not making money off of it, then it doesn't matter. And that's why she yelled Trump 2020, even though Trump just had corona, because it's somebody's job when they wake up in the morning to politicize everything.
Right. Well,
and that's why we're here.
I hope that we as a people can somehow rise above it and figure it out, because I don't want my daughter and son growing up in a world like this.